The sun hung lazily above the city of Enugu that Saturday afternoon, throwing golden heat across Brook Street. The air smelled of roasted corn, perfume, and hair relaxer. Nkechi walked slowly, her phone pressed to her ear, laughing softly as she spoke to her cousin. She was on her way to Glam Touch, the most popular hair salon in the area, a place where only the classy women went. Every corner of the street had its own hairdresser, but Glam Touch stood out. It had a glass door, an air conditioner that hummed constantly, and loud Afrobeat songs that played from morning till night. When you stepped in, it felt like you had entered another world, a world of beauty, gossip, and artificial scents. The smell of relaxer mixed with hairspray, coconut oil, and heat protectant cream. Mirrors lined every wall, reflecting faces and wigs and extensions. Women sat under hairdryers reading gossip blogs, while others scrolled through Instagram showing their stylists what style they wanted next. Nkechi loved everything about it. She liked the noise, the chatter, and the feeling of importance that came with walking into such a salon. She had been coming here for months. Everyone knew her. The receptionist would smile. "Ah, Miss Nkechi, welcome. Your stylist Sandra is almost free." Sandra, light-skinned, talkative, and always chewing gum, had become Nkechi's favorite. "My fine madam," she always said, "today we go make your hair shine like diamond." That afternoon, Nkechi had come for a full hair treatment and styling. She sat in the cushioned chair, scrolling through her messages while Sandra massaged her scalp. The cool, creamy relaxer spread through her hair, and she sighed with satisfaction. But as she sat there, something strange caught her attention. One of the junior stylists, a small girl named Blessing, kept running in and out of the back room with a bucket. Each time she came out, her face looked a little uncomfortable, almost guilty. "What's in that back room, Seth?" Nkechi asked casually. Sandra chuckled. "Ah, madam, that one know where we day wash hair and keep our tools. Nothing special." But Nkechi wasn't fully convinced. She noticed a faint, unpleasant smell in the air, something mixed with disinfectant and something else. Old and sour. She frowned but said nothing. Hours passed. By evening, her hair was straight, glossy, and curled at the ends. She looked beautiful. Sandra handed her a mirror, and Nkechi smiled proudly. "How much?" 16,000, madam." Nkechi paid without blinking. She never liked bargaining. Beauty had a price. As she got up to leave, the salon owner, Madame Gloria, a tall woman with painted brows and heavy perfume, walked in, carrying nylon bags. She smiled at everyone. "My ladies, una day enjoy? Business done boomed today." Everyone laughed. Nkechi greeted her politely and walked out into the evening breeze, her hair bouncing perfectly in rhythm. But as she reached her car, that sour smell followed her again, faint but distinct. She shook her head and thought it must just be from the chemicals. Still, something about that back room stayed in her mind, like a whisper that refused to fade. That night she couldn't sleep well. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the buckets Blessing had carried, the smell, and that half-open door behind the mirror. Something wasn't right about Glam Touch, but she didn't know yet what it was. The following week, Nkechi returned to Glam Touch for a wig installation. She had an event coming up and wanted to look flawless. When she entered, the salon was even busier than before. The hum of dryers, the rhythm of chatter, and the faint chemical smell filled the air again. "Madam Nkechi, welcome, oh," Sandra sang. "Your wig fine dye. Come make we fix 'em well." As Sandra worked, Nkechi kept glancing around. She noticed that same backroom door again, half open, a dim yellow light flickering behind it. The smell seemed stronger today. "Excuse me, Sandra," Nkechi said, lowering her voice. "That place behind the mirror. What do you people really do there?" Sandra laughed nervously. "Ah, madam, you two-day curious-o. Adjust our storage. We keep old hair, chemicals, and maybe small meat for the girls when dem day hungry." Nkechi smiled faintly but didn't believe her. She was sure she'd heard something, like the clanging of metal, coming from there. About an hour later, Sandra excused herself to attend to another customer. Nkechi's curiosity was burning. She stood up quietly and walked toward the back room. She hesitated at the door, then gently pushed it open. What she saw made her freeze. The room was dim, lit by a single bulb. Buckets lined the floor, filled with brownish water. Used towels hung from a rope across the ceiling. There were wigs soaking in basins, but the water was dark, almost black. The smell was unbearable. Then, behind a half curtain, she saw two women. One was Blessing, the junior stylist, and the other was a woman she didn't recognize. They were cutting human hair from a pile that looked strange. The strands were wet and clumped together, but mixed within were pieces that didn't look like normal extensions. They looked like hair freshly shaved from someone's head. Nkechi's stomach turned. "Ah, who dey there?" one of them shouted, startled. Nkechi quickly closed the door and hurried back to her seat, pretending she had gone to use her phone. Her hands trembled. When Sandra returned, Nkechi forced a smile. "Everything okay, madam?" "Yes." "Yes," Nkechi whispered. She left the salon earlier than usual that day, her heart racing. When she got home, she washed her hands repeatedly, as if trying to erase something invisible. That night, she called her friend Ifunanya. "I don't know what I saw today," she said shakily, "but something is wrong with that salon. Their backroom is disgusting." Ifunanya laughed. "My dear, you too dey panic. You know, say all these places dirty small. Forget it." But Nkechi couldn't. The images wouldn't leave her mind. The buckets, the smell, and that pile of hair that looked like it came from real people. For the first time, she looked at her own perfect wig in the mirror and felt sick. Nkechi couldn't shake the feeling that Glam Touch was hiding something foul. For days she tried to convince herself that what she saw was harmless, just a messy workroom or spoiled products. But every time she remembered the color of that water and the smell that clung to her clothes, her stomach twisted. By the fourth night, she couldn't take it anymore. She needed answers. Her plan was simple. She would go there after hours and quietly and see what really happened when customers were gone. That Friday evening, she parked her car across the road, near a small kiosk that sold drinks. It was about 8:30 p.m. The salon had closed an hour ago, but she noticed faint light coming from the back. She waited, pretending to scroll on her phone. Soon a shadow moved inside, then another. Someone was definitely there. Nkechi's heart pounded. She waited until the street quieted, then crossed quickly to the salon's side alley. She had noticed before that there was a small gate behind the building, where the workers dumped trash. It wasn't locked. She slipped inside quietly. The back door was slightly open. She peeped through the gap. What she saw made her blood freeze. Inside, 3 women, including Sandra and Blessing, were gathered around a large metal table. On the table were piles of hair, scissors, combs, and bottles of something that looked like bleach. But that wasn't the shocking part. In one corner of the room was a big black drum, filled halfway with water, and floating inside were wigs, and something that looked like pieces of scalp. Nkechi gasped softly and covered her mouth. The women laughed as they worked, scrubbing the hair with bare hands and throwing away whatever looked too dirty. Sandra said, "Madam Gloria say we go bleach 'em tonight, make you shine tomorrow. Customer no go even know say na hair way person done use before." Blessing giggled. "Ah, them rich madam no sabi anything. As long as he find dem go pay big money." Nkechi nearly screamed. The wigs they sold as new imported human hair were actually second-hand, stripped from unknown sources, washed in filth and repackaged. But that wasn't all. She noticed another pile of hair, wet, tangled, and darker than the rest. It looked freshly cut, and some strands were clotted with something red. Nkechi stumbled backward. Her foot hit an empty can, and it clanged loudly. "Who be that?" Sandra shouted. Nkechi ran. She dashed through the back gate into the dark street, her slippers flying off as she sprinted to her car. She drove home shaking, her breath shallow. That night she didn't sleep. She kept seeing that drum, that water, and the laughter of the women who handled it like it was normal. She thought of the expensive wigs she had proudly worn, the same wigs probably washed in filth and dead skin. By morning, she made up her mind. She would report Glam Touch, but who would believe her? She had no proof, only fear, disgust, and the haunting memory of that night. 2 days passed. Nkechi stayed away from Glam Touch. But as gossip spread across Brook Street, she realized something strange. No one seemed to know where. Madame Gloria got her wigs from... Some said she imported them from Ghana. Others claimed she had a special supplier from Port Harcourt. Nobody had ever seen any delivery truck. That mystery only fueled Nkechi's fear. She decided to visit Blessing, the youngest worker, who always looked uneasy. Maybe Blessing would talk. After a few calls to people who knew the salon girls, she got Blessing's number and invited her to a cafe. When the girl arrived, she looked nervous and tired, her eyes darting around as if afraid of being seen. "Blessing," Nkechi began gently, "I just want to ask about the salon. You don't have to be afraid. I saw something the other day, and I can't sleep since then." Blessing's face tightened. "Madam Nkechi, please no talk too loud. Madame Gloria go kill me if she know I talk anything." "What is she hiding?" Nkechi pressed. Blessing looked down. "Those hair we dey wash, dem no be normal hair, oh. Some of them dey come from mortuary." Nkechi's body went cold. "Mortuary?" Blessing nodded weakly. "Yes, madam. Madame Gloria get man for there. He dey cut hair from dead bodies. Women way nobody come claim. She buy 'em cheap, say na human hair business. We dey bleach 'em, wash 'em with perfume and relaxer, then package 'em fine. People think say he come from India." Nkechi felt sick. Her throat tightened. "You mean people are wearing hair from corpses?" "Yes, madam," Blessing whispered, trembling. "Sometimes he still get blood for him. Me I dey fear, but I no get choice. If I talk, dem go sack me. My mama dey sick for village." Nkechi stared at her, speechless. The smell, the dark water, the scalp she saw floating. It all made sense now. "How long has this been happening?" "Almost 2 years," Blessing said quietly. "Dem even say one time police nearly catch Madame Gloria, but she settled them." Nkechi felt a wave of nausea. She couldn't believe it. The same hair that women bragged about on Instagram, the luxury human hair, came from the heads of the dead. When she got home, she washed her hair over and over again until her scalp burned. She threw away her wigs, her extensions, and even the combs she had used from the salon. But the nightmares wouldn't stop. Every night she dreamed of pale faces, women with long hair reaching toward her, whispering in voices that sounded like wind. "Return what is ours." Nkechi woke up sweating, clutching her head. She thought she was losing her mind. By the end of the week, she made another decision. She would go to the police. But she needed proof. That meant going back into Glam Touch one last time. That Sunday night, the streets were quiet. Nkechi had borrowed her cousin's small camera and hid it inside her handbag. Her plan was simple: sneak into Glam Touch, record evidence, and take it to the police in the morning. She dressed in black and waited until 9 p.m., when she knew the salon girls would finish cleaning up. Her heart raced as she approached the building. The lights were still on. She could hear faint music coming from inside, the same slow gospel track that Madame Gloria always played during closing time. Nkechi took a deep breath and pushed the back gate open. It creaked softly. She moved through the narrow alley, peeped through the same gap in the back door, and froze. Only one person was there, Madame Gloria. She was sitting at the center of the room, facing the metal table. A thick white candle burned beside her. In front of her was a bowl filled with dark water, darker than what Nkechi had ever seen. She was chanting softly, her voice trembling. Nkechi pulled out her camera, hit record, and watched. Madame Gloria dipped her hand into the bowl and began washing something that looked like human hair. But as the candlelight flickered, Nkechi realized it wasn't just hair. There was a faint outline of a woman's face under the surface, a face with closed eyes. Nkechi gasped, too loud this time. Madame Gloria's head snapped up. Who is there? Nkechi turned to run, but her bag caught on the door handle and spilled. The camera clattered to the floor. Madame Gloria's eyes widened when she saw her. You again? Stay away from me, Nkechi shouted, backing away. The older woman stepped forward slowly, her expression calm but cold. You shouldn't have come back, Nkechi. You don't understand the business you are trying to destroy. What business? Selling hair from corpses? Madame Gloria laughed quietly. You think it's just that? Those women, the dead ones, they come to me willingly. Their hair is payment for peace. When we use their hair, they rest. When people wear it, they carry their blessings. Nkechi shook her head. You're lying. That's witchcraft. Madame Gloria's smile vanished. Then why do you think your life got better after you started wearing my wigs? You got promoted. Your husband started loving you again. You think it's coincidence? The hair chose you. Nkechi froze. Her lips trembled. Everything Madame Gloria said was true. Things had improved since she started visiting the salon, but she refused to believe it was because of dead people's hair. You're evil, she whispered. Madame Gloria took a step closer. And you are ungrateful. Do you know what happens when you reject a gift from the dead? Suddenly the candle flickered violently. The lights in the salon began to buzz. From the bowl came a faint wail, like wind trapped in a tunnel. The air grew cold, and Nkechi's skin prickled. Return what is ours? The voices whispered. Madame Gloria screamed, clutching her chest. The bowl tipped over, spilling the black water across the floor. The voices grew louder, echoing through the walls. Nkechi ran. She pushed the door open and dashed into the night. Behind her she heard a crash, then silence. When she looked back, the salon lights went out completely. The next morning she returned with the police. They found the salon door unlocked. Inside, the candle had burned down to wax. The bowl was shattered, and Madame Gloria was lying motionless on the floor, eyes wide open, her hair completely gone. Her scalp was bare, smooth like polished stone. There was no sign of anyone else. No wigs, no piles of hair, just empty shelves and the strong scent of perfume. The police took her camera as evidence, but when they checked the footage, it was blank. Only static and faint whispers. Weeks later, Glam Touch was sealed off, and rumors spread like wildfire. Some said Madame Gloria's ghost still roamed the salon, calling customers by name. Others swore they saw wigs moving on their own inside the display window. As for Nkechi, she never wore a wig again. She cut her hair low, started her own small hair care brand, and named it Pure Roots. Business was slow, but her peace returned until one morning, while cleaning her shop, she found something at her doorstep. A small parcel, wrapped neatly in white cloth. She hesitated, then unwrapped it. Inside was a bundle of long black hair, shiny, soft, and freshly washed. A tag was tied around it. It read, "A gift from those who remember." The wind outside blew, carrying the faint sound of laughter, the kind Nkechi had heard that first night behind the salon. She froze, clutching the hair in her trembling hands. Then, for the first time in weeks, she whispered a prayer. Because some secrets once uncovered never stop following you.